Good morning, everyone. Dear Ulf, this morning we paid tribute to the lives of two people who have been brutally taken away by blind hatred. Belgium offers again its sincere condolences to the families, to the friends of the two people who died, and to the whole population of Sweden. We recognize how this terrorist attack has profoundly shaken our society, your society, but also Belgian society. What happened really affects our citizens' daily lives. You should know that you can always count on us, and that the Swedish population can always count on the sympathy of us Belgians, and that we will continue working together. It is quite clear that in this fight against extremism, we stand shoulder to shoulder. It is a fight for freedom, for democracy. In essence, it's a fight for respect. Respect between human beings, respect for the fact that we can have different ideas, that we can have discussions about our ideas, but it can never lead to violence, and definitely never lead to the violence that we have seen. This fight is not an easy one. We have seen this over the past years. It is a fight that we must win, and I want to be clear, it is a fight that we will win, and we will win it together. It is also clear that more united European action is needed to work on the root causes of what we have seen happening here over the past days, and that is why, dear Ursula, I'm extremely happy to have you here, President of the European Commission, extremely happy to have you here on our side of two government leaders of member states. In the case of this terrorist attack, we cannot look back from the fact that one of the decisive elements of what happened here a few days ago is the fact that the person who committed this was a person coming from illegal migration. And this is something that we need to tackle, and we can only tackle this if we do this in a coordinated way. To me, there are two dimensions which we need to tackle in a coordinated way. First of all, is a better protection of our external borders. Secondly, and I would say equally important, is a more resolute and a more coordinated return policy for people who are end of the migration procedures. Now, Belgium is committed more than ever to do its part, and as you know, we will be President of the European, rotating President of the European Council from next year on. Bringing the European Asylum and Migration Pact to a successful end is our highest priority, and we see that it is evolving in the right direction. For the moment, we do not see major roadblocks, and it is really a priority for us to bring that to an end. We know that we can count on the support of the member states, and we will continue working together with all of the member states in bringing that to a good end, and we know that we have the full support of Sweden in this to bring this European Migration Pact together, and that European Migration Pact should stand for better border controls, but also for the coordinated European return policy. Sweden and Belgium are shoulder to shoulder in the same fight, and dear Ulf, I really would like to thank you. And we've been in close contact over the past days, in dramatic circumstances, in difficult circumstances, but really worked together very well on our level, and also our services, I think, were really seamlessly working together. And dear Ursula, I would like to thank you for your support and your willingness to be present here today. I'm convinced that if we join hands in Europe, we can make the migration and asylum system a better system. And I'm convinced that we can make it more humane, and that we can also make it more just. And we are fully committed in coming to a successful end to that endeavor. And I'm convinced that we will do that, and we will do it together.
Thank you so much. I could be so brief to just say I agree with everything you said, Alexander. I would echo every word of it. And thank you so much for good cooperation. Thanks for your very rapid telephone call and our telephone calls during these days. I think it gives a lot of trust to our agencies and our populations as well, that we cooperate so well in very tragic circumstances. We don't have all the answers yet, as we all know, but I would like to say just a few things. That, first of all, for Sweden, it seems to be a terrorist attack aimed at Sweden and at Swedish citizens just because of being Sweden. Of course, that's a tragedy in itself. My thoughts are for today, of course, with the innocent Swedes that have been killed and injured, and their beloved ones. I will try to meet the injured person later this afternoon. Thanks also for the commemoration that we had earlier today. It is obviously difficult to take in the scope of the consequences of this terrorist attack and previous attacks of a similar kind. They want to scare us, obviously. They refuse to accept our way of living. They refuse to accept the values we share and the values we cherish. They hate the open opportunities or the open society where you can actually have friendly and peaceful discussions also about very sensitive and difficult topics. And I fully understand that many Swedes right now are scared, they are angry, they are frustrated, they are looking for answers to questions we yet don't have and questions we are not used to be forced to ask ourselves. But I have two similar conclusions as Alexander. The first is actually protecting our societies, standing up and sticking to our values. That is key. We do not give up our values. We are not the ones that should change our way of living. We are firm on that. But being firm on democracy, on tolerance, on openness and freedom also requires us to be firm on security. When they do like this, we raise our security measures to be able to protect the free and open society. That's key. And the second key is obviously also that we need to be able to protect our borders. We need to know who is in Sweden. Are they here legally or illegally? If they are not here in a legal way, they are obliged to leave the country. We need to protect our European borders, as we have discussed quite frequently the last European Councils. If we are not able to protect our common borders, we will not be able to uphold the free movement within Europe. These are extremely important parts of what it is to being a European community. So we stick to our values, we raise our security measures, and we will be able to defeat these people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ursula.
Thank you very much, Alexander. It was important for me to be here today after this terror attack that hit the capital of Europe. And I thank Prime Minister De Croo and Prime Minister Christensen for having invited me. My condolences go to the families and friends of the victims of a targeted and heinous terror attack. And Ulf, you spoke about hate. This attack was motivated by hate. There is no place and zero tolerance for hate in Europe. We see these days that hate speech is spreading extremely fast through social media, like wildfire. Hate speech has real-life consequences, but we have now the tools to fight it online. Thanks to our DSA, the Digital Services Act, we are able to oblige the platforms to take hate speech and terrorist content down. We know that hate speech leads to terror acts, putting in danger the security of our citizens independent of their faith, nationality, or opinions. One specific dimension relates to individuals who are considered a security threat and have received a return order. Currently, they can be asked to leave voluntarily. We must urgently change this. And this is the reason why we, the European Commission, have therefore proposed that if a person is considered to be a national security threat, member states must have the power to force the person to leave. This is in our Asylum and Migration Pact, among others. And this is another reason to get it over the finish line now, and I'm very confident knowing that the next presidency will be the Belgian presidency, so we will bring this Asylum and Migration Pact over the finish line. And on returns, we must work more as Team Europe. We have more leverage together, the Member States and the European Commission. We will intensify our efforts dealing with countries of origin and transit. We as Europeans will have to define who comes to the European Union and under what circumstances. All this is based on a comprehensive partnership with countries of origin and transit, but important is to work together as Team Europe.
Thank you.
We'll take a few questions. First from Christian again, from the
Prime Minister De Croo, I come from Swedish television TV4. I have a question to you regarding what will happen now. You had this terrorist attack. Are there any measures that you will take immediately to make sure that there is not another one? And how fast will you be able to share an investigation with your Swedish counterpart?
Well, first of all, we've taken measures from the moment that we had seen that there had been an attack on Swedish citizens. We immediately protected locations in Belgium which could be linked to a Swedish interest, which is your embassies, some of the retail spaces which are linked to Sweden. That is still the case, and we will continue doing so until we are in certainty that the threat is completely gone. Today it looks like the person was a lone actor, but that investigation is still going on. We are still in a situation where there is significantly additional police presence throughout the country, and we will continue doing so. The police investigation is being shared already, and our security services are in contact with the Swedish ones. Information is being shared on the past of that person. We have strong indications that what happened was linked to, and the person had stated that it was linked specifically towards Swedish people, and so we have done the analysis that additional effort needs to be done specifically to that topic. Look, we are partners in this as Europeans. This was an attack against Swedish citizens in Belgium, related to a football game between Belgium and Sweden. So this is Europe in essence, and we know that we have European citizens from all over living in Brussels, and it's our full priority to make sure that they can live here in security, of course.
Another question from Prime Minister. I was wondering your thoughts about the failure by the Belgian government to send the terrorist back to his country of origin, although his asylum procedure had been finished for quite some time. Do you think this could have been avoided if Belgian authorities had done a better job?
Since we have exactly the same problem in Sweden, exactly the same problem with very many people who are declined asylum but refuses to leave the country. That's a big problem. One problem is obvious. It simply takes away the difference between to have the asylum and to be declined. That is obviously bad, but it also makes it possible for people who are dangerous to stay in your country and to hide and to become a potential threat. And Since I know how hard this is, and since we have exactly the same problem, I don't blame Belgium at all. It's ironic that this specific person, waiting for the formal investigation, has also been in Sweden from time to time and seemed to be convicted in Sweden as well, and should not have been in Sweden at all, basically.
Another question is, please.
Yes, Pia Gripenberg, Swedish Daily Dagens Nyheter. Pia Gripenberg, Swedish Daily Dagens Nyheter. The gunman had claimed asylum in several EU countries. It's for you, Prime Minister De Croo, and was denied asylum in Belgium 2020. And how come he could live here with his family for several years and was not returned to Tunisia? And the second question, if I may, Brussels Minister for Employment claimed that this attack had security failures and that information from the Foreign Office wasn't shared with the to the municipality and to its local police department. What do you say about these criticisms, please?
First of all, I would like to thank you for Mr. Christensen, what you said. We are both confronted to the same problem. It's not only Sweden and Belgium. Most European countries are confronted with that issue. Is that on one side, yes, we have international obligations to give protection to people who deserve protection. And we do. And both our countries do a tremendous effort in giving international protection to people who are entitled so. But the flip side of that, of course, is that the people who are not entitled to that protection should leave the territory. In this case, this person indeed had received the order to leave the territory and then went underwater, and it was impossible for us to know, where our security services were not able to monitor where he was. Indeed, he should have left the territory. And there's two ways of doing that. One of them is doing that in a voluntary way, and as President of the Commission said, we need as Member States additional tools, additional possibilities to do that. It is quite clear that just gently asking is not enough. At some point, as a country, you should be able to say, you've asked for protection, you did not receive protection because the analysis we did. When we tell you to leave, you need to leave. That also means that we need better agreements with the country of origin. Because it's easy for some people to say, well, just make them leave. But leaving means that the person needs to be accepted in the country of origin. And that is today often something extremely complicated. We need better agreements on that, and we need more conditionality on that. You know, we as a European Union, we are second to none in the investments we do in our neighborhood. We invest together with so many countries in, for example, our North African neighborhood, but also in the rest of Africa, in the eastern flank and so on. That investment we do because we believe that if our neighbors do better, it's to the benefit of everyone. But that cannot be unconditional. And we need to come to better agreements with our neighbors, and that needs to be respectful agreements to make sure that everyone takes his responsibility. We need to take our responsibility on international protection, and we're willing to do so. But it can only work if responsibility is also being taken on the other side, that when people are not entitled to protection, that we have respectful, humane, but also binding ways to send people back from where they come. We are confronted with that issue, and it's good to hear, dear Ulf, that you're confronted with the same issue, and you can ask any European leader. We're all confronted to that issue. On the sharing of information, I have seen that information has been shared between our asylum office and between the city where the person was, but he was not registered there. He was not in a legal way there. The investigation is going on how it is possible that that information was not digested or was not being used. There is today a lot of questions, and I want answers on those questions so that I can change policy.
May I add to that? I fully agree. May I add to that the need for sharing information between countries, not only between intelligence agencies, but also the fact that this person, the the suspected person had been in prison in Sweden, for example. That kind of information could have been useful for the assessment being made here in Belgium. So I think there is a huge need not only for common border control but also for common information sharing to be able to protect our societies.
Thank you, Thomas. Just one more question.
Andreas Liljeden at the Swedish Public Radio. For both Prime Ministers, ahead of the game on Monday, there had been an increased threat levels against Swedish citizens due to Quran burnings in Sweden, and one could also add to that the conflict Israel-Hamas, who could add tensions as well. So given this, what was this taken into consideration when organizing the game on Monday? What security measures were in place? Were these security measures enough, do you think, given what happened? And also from the Swedish authorities to the Swedish Prime Minister, what kind of warnings were made to Swedish fans? If I also may, to Commission President, there's been this problem with not returning migrants that does not receive asylum. It's been a problem for years and years. So in concrete terms, what should really change?
Well, first of all, for any international event, we do a threat analysis, and we have a lot of international events happening in Belgium. I mean, almost every week there's big international events, and a football game like this is one of them. That analysis had been done in the past also on would there be an impact on the tension that there is in Sweden around this topic, and here in Belgium. When two people die, the only thing you can say is that things have gone wrong, and we need to look into what were the outcomes of the analysis, and did the analysis use the right information? From what I base, the analysis was the right one, but the question is, okay, was all the information which was available used to come to that conclusion? Obviously, a lot of attention was going to the impact that the conflict in Israel and Palestine, what the links could have been to that. But in the case of this game with Sweden, we know that there was another element as well. So the investigation is going on, and we're especially looking at the factor, was all the information available being used?
Well, since we, as you know, we have our share of deadly shootings in Sweden, so we know how difficult it is to find them, to prevent it, and to do all the necessary protection being needed. But what I do say, when we raised the level from 3 to 4 on a 5-degree scale, August 17, I think, when the Swedish security police made that decision, it was obviously because they realized and they communicated the kind of risks that we are exposed to right now. That in Sweden, attacks in Sweden, attacks on Swedes or on Swedish properties or interest abroad. Nobody could obviously foresee this specific event. And Brussels and Belgium is one of the most internationalized part of the world in Europe. So I mean, a lot of Swedes live here, a lot of Swedes go here without, for good reasons, without fear. But literally, this kind of terrorist attack was what they actually meant when they communicated the high levels of risks.
Yes, you asked what has to change on return. As far as I understand, the terrorist had several asylum applications in different member states. This has already changed in the last month. We have now a mutual recognition of return decisions. That means once you apply for asylum and it has been rejected and there's a return decision, it is valid in every member state. Second, then of course is the operational part. So to make sure that the return happens to the countries of origin. And here we have seen that too often each and every member state on its own has started to negotiate with the countries of origin and transit. Us together, I call it Team Europe, but it is the 27 member states and the European Commission. We have together much more leverage. If you look at all the complex relationship we have with these countries of origin and transit, to be very clear that we want a comprehensive partnership. We want, for example, to invest in these countries. We are willing to invest in the educational system, but also in the infrastructure. But in return, these countries have to take responsibility for their own citizens. And this means take them back. The third point where I think we have to work on together is the operational procedure. So the physical return to the country of origin or transit, that has to be, where we have to have much more shared operations, for example, through Frontex. That is a common European instrument.
Thank you.
This concludes our press conference.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.